Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've been to the-
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Alan. Arduous. Definitely, there've been but I'm glad. They do. They do. They do. Yeah, we don't. I don't. It's right there. We like uninterested. Yeah. See.
Okay. Okay, I'm guessing this is on. Everybody can hear me for camera and everything. Um, I'm Lis Pankl. I'm the Dean of Libraries, Dean of MSU Libraries, and I'm pleased to welcome you here today. This is a unique privilege to learn more about an icon of the civil rights movement. To get us started, I'd like to introduce Dr. Don Shaffer, who is the Director of African American Studies at MSU.
These mics are always a little bit too far down for me. Good afternoon. It is my honor to introduce our guest speaker for the day, Jacqueline Hamer Flakes. I'm always a little bit nervous introducing women, men, people, of her stature, and talking about the historic icon that was her adoptive mother, Fannie Lou Hamer. So I'm going to defer to Ms. Flakes, and I'm going to begin by reading just a portion from her amazing book, which I think you should all purchase. I don't know if we have enough copies, but we'll get more. So I'm just going to begin by letting Ms. Flakes speak for herself. My name is Jacqueline Hamer, but I've been called Cookie all my life. I'm the youngest of four daughters of Fannie, Alma, Louise, Du Bois, Townsend Hamer. Most people know her as Fannie Lou Hamer. I write this book to provide both a historical and personal context to the life of Mama Fannie, as we called her. I also write this book to hopefully set the record straight that Fannie Lou Hamer had four daughters. Despite our efforts in the past and recently to correct misinformation regarding her children, books and articles written as recently as 2022 continue to refer to Mama Fannie having two daughters. If anything, I hope that this book will finally help set the record straight. There were four daughters, not two. Mama Fannie was actually my great aunt who legally adopted me as a baby. She's the only mother Lenore, nicknamed Nookie, and I, nicknamed Cookie, ever knew. She was very kind and loving to us until the day she died. Jacqueline Hamer Flakes, the bold author who endeavors to set the record straight, is a profile in perseverance. She is a change agent motivated by the call to action represented in Mama Fannie's famous quote, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." That is one who becomes the embodiment of the change we all want to see in action, but few are willing to realize. Indeed, she's the continuation of that legacy of social activism. Fannie Lou Hamer's, quote, "beginning again," her enduring living legacy. To that end, Ms. Flakes continues to share her mother's story with the world. She has spoken about her at various events. At the March on Washington Film Festival, the Women of Color Nebraska Caucus, a marker unveiling in Indianola, Mississippi, a Juneteenth celebration of freedom in Holly Springs, Mississippi, a mural unveiling in Jackson, Mississippi, and a book launching at the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum, also in Jackson. Jacqueline is active in the Fannie Lou Hamer Memorial Garden and museum communities in Louisville and appears in the documentary Fannie Lou Hamer's America, which aired on PBS in February 2022. In telling her story, she keeps alive not only the history of her mother's activism, her mother's sacrifice, and her enduring legacy, she also clarifies the important tasks of social justice that remain for us unfinished. It is my honor to welcome to the podium Ms. Jacqueline Hamer Flakes.
Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. Walk with me, while I'm on this tedious journey. I want you, Lord, to walk with me. I'm going to read also out of the book, Mama Fannie's Early Life. It has been written that Mama Fannie was the youngest of 20 children, born to James and Luella Townsend on October 6, 1917. Had the older siblings lived at birth, there would have been 24 children. The family lived in Montgomery County, Mississippi, until 1919, when they moved to Sunflower County to work on the E.W. Brandon's plantation. The family of 22 lived in a 3-room sharecropper shack that lacked running water, electricity, or plumbing. Their work was very hard as a sharecropper, and the entire family was expected to help. Mama Fannie often said no matter how hard the family worked, they never came out ahead or broke even because the faulty accounting under the sharecropper system, which was created a perpetual cycle of debt for sharecroppers. Most of the time, they barely had food enough to eat, especially during the winter months. As soon as a child walked and carried a sack, he was sent to the field. Depending on the child's age, determined the size and type of cotton picker sack they carried. Children's sacks were often made of burlap or something scrapped together from around the house. Adults carried sacks as long as 9 feet. The sacks had a strap over the shoulder to free the hands to pick. When Mama Fannie was just 6 years old, she started helping her family in the field. Brandon had promised to buy her Cracker Jacks, sardines, and cheese if she could pick 30 pounds of cotton by the end of the week. As a young child, she did not see it as a trick to test if she was ready to go to the field, but rather an opportunity to eat things she knew she could never afford. Once Mama Fannie showed she could pick 30 pounds of cotton, she was ordered to pick 60 pounds with no reward the next week. By the age of 13, Mama Fannie said she was picking 200 to 300 pounds of cotton a day. Nothing was fair about the sharecropper agreement. Black sharecroppers were governed by. The agreement was written to make sure the plantation owner came out ahead at the expense of the sharecropper. The white landowner always got the greater percentage because most blacks were illiterate and powerless. They were taken advantage of by shady sharecropper agreements, which often left them in debt regardless of how hard they worked. Most arrangements prohibited blacks from saving seeds from the previous year to force them to take out credit to plant the next year's crop. Mama Fannie often compared the sharecroppers' living and working conditions to what their former enslaved ancestors had experienced. Sharecroppers would work from sunup to sundown. It was nearly impossible and dangerous to move from one abusive landowner to another, especially if you owed a debt. If your new landowner purchased your debt, you started out owing him, and the cycle repeated itself. I just want to say that Mama Fannie was 12 years old. She had a 6th grade education, and she would tell anybody who asked her, can you read this? Can you do this? Can you do that? And she would say, I may have a 6th grade education, but I can do any 9th grader out there. And you can tell that by the way she spoke. I mean, she could be somewhere speaking, and it was like she had this long speech that she wanted people to hear about the Mississippi Delta and how things were going for them, or can you say not going for them. When they got to Mississippi, the rural Delta, Senator O. Eastland was a person that Mama really didn't like, and he really didn't like her. So if you want to hear that story or read that story, you can try and purchase it. The name of it is The Senator and the Sharecropper. And it's all about how she talked about him and he talked about her. And they didn't leave anything out of it because both of them knew, don't come to me or don't come at me. So when they went to Mr. Marlowe's plantation and started working, she and my daddy Pat, they had already adopted my mother. And my mother's name was Dorothy Jean. They adopted her. And at that time, Mama's mother, Mama Ella, moved in the home with them. She didn't trust any of her other children. She trusted Mama Fannie. And by that time, she had Vergerie, who they raised as their own. And Vergerie was 6 months old when they got her. And the first thing that came up when she got Vergerie was everybody was telling Mama, well, you shouldn't take her in because you know as soon as you get her well, because everybody knew that she was malnourished. They didn't take care of her at all. Her parents didn't. Her siblings didn't. So Mama Fannie got permission from Daddy Pat, and it wasn't hard to do that because he loved Mama Fannie. That was his baby. That's what he called her, baby. So she got Vergerie, and instantly both of them fell in love with her. And Papa would have her out there with his buddies, and they'd be drinking that 100 proof granddad or either that white lightning. And I mean, he would just have a good time with her out there cussing everybody out. So Bebe had to once again go into the hospital because somebody found her on the back seat of a car at her family's home. It was a cousin of ours, and he heard the crying of the child, and he couldn't find out where the baby was. So he finally found the child wrapped up in a plastic bag on the back seat. So he ran and took her to Mama Fannie's house, and he was like, come, Fannie Lou, you need to take her to the doctor. You know her mom and daddy ain't gonna take her. So he ended up going to the doctor with Mama. He drove her because Mama never drove. He picked her up and got the baby in the car, and they took her to the doctor, who first was the one who this doctor was the first one who took care of her when she was first diagnosed as being malnourished. This time it was the baby was scalded over 60% of her body. So the doctor asked Mama Fannie, Fannie Lou, do you want this baby? And she said, yes, sir. He said, I'm going to fix it where you ain't going to never have to worry about this ever again. Can't nobody come and get her from you. And just as the word got around on the plantation, they went ahead on and told the parents that Mama Fannie had the baby, and said she was at Mama Fannie's house and she was doing good, and it was coming up to food stamp time, and they needed her portion. They wanted her portion of the food stamps. So they went and tried to talk Mama out the baby, and Mama said, no, y'all can't get her this time. This is my baby. Y'all can't get her. Y'all can't have her. And that's one of the reasons why I get kind of disturbed when I read things and people say, well, Fannie Lou and Pap only had 2 daughters and a son. And I'm wondering, where did the son come from? Because they never had a son. Daddy Pap had a daughter from his first marriage. And Mama never had children because of something they called the Mississippi appendectomy. And that was a term that they brought out when they started doing I said appendectomy, didn't I? Hysterectomy. They gave her a hysterectomy. And this is something that they really wanted to cut down on the population because they needed these black women in the cotton field. So they started cutting down by giving them hysterectomies without their knowledge. Now, mind you, Mama Fannie never had any kids, never had kids of her own, never gave birth to a child. But God blessed her to have even more. She had my Mama Dorothy. She had Virgery. My Mama Dorothy died at the age of 22. She started hemorrhaging. The hospital in Ruleville, Mississippi. Now, you all might see that commercial that says, "Take me to Ruleville." No, don't take me to Ruleville. Pass on by there and take me to Memphis. That's where they ended up taking my mama. She died because she started hemorrhaging. She died 2 days later. She didn't die the same day. I heard those words said that she died the same day. That was not the case. So she got my sister Lenora, who was 19 months old, and me. Call me Cookie. Don't call me Jacqueline. I'm comfortable with Cookie. I was 8 months old because my sister was 11 months older than me. My dad was getting ready to go to the military, and he asked Mama. He came over and he was like, "Miss Fannie Lou, I can't take care of the babies by myself. Do you think y'all could take Cookie for me and my family will go ahead on and take Nook because Cookie is sick all the time?" So Mama said, "No, Fess, we can't do that." My daddy's name was Sylvester. "No, Fess, we can't do that. You know, my baby wouldn't want that." So he talked with his family, and they ended up allowing Mama and Papa to just take both of us and adopt us as their own children. And it wasn't a problem because he only lived like 3 blocks away from us. And I mean, that's how loving and caring Mama Fannie was. I mean, for her to take on the responsibility of the two young ladies before, the babies before, and then allowing 2 tiny babies to come into the home when she had everything going with the civil rights. And I mean, Mama was on it. And I mean, she went in just singing, doing what she loves to do. But they found out she could also speak. And I mean, she would speak just eloquent. And when she started speaking, you could feel it from your stomach just coming on up. That's the way she spoke. And I mean, they meaning my papa and Mama Fannie, they really never allowed me and my sister Nook to be around them when they were discussing the things that happened to Mama, the beatings in Winona, Mississippi, when they tried to kill her. They had a deputy, an officer, 2 inmates, black inmates, that they made take the baton and take turns and beat her until they were tired. And if they didn't do it, the deputy said, "Well, if you don't do it, you know what's going to happen to you. You're going to get what should happen to her." So they beat Mama for the first time, the first inmate. And it's kind of sad because when I finally heard her tell how she was beaten, for how long, and just how they just wanted to kill her for no reason. No reason at all. Just because she was out there trying to be an honest person in the Delta, wanting to register to vote. And I remember when I turned 18, I ran out of my car to get to the courthouse and pass that test and to just say, I got it. I got my card. I'm free to register. I'm free to vote. And I mean, just being with Mama when we would go and get people and she would tell them the people who were going to be on the ballot and ask them if they needed help and who they could go to and make sure that no one was going to take them and try to put somebody on the ballot who was undeserving of being a politician, a mayor, a board member, any of that. They didn't want that in Mississippi. They needed the good people who were going to help. So when let me back up a little bit. When Mama went to the courthouse to try and register to vote after she had learned about being able to vote, she walked up to the counter. All of them walked up to the counter. It was about 16 of them. And a white lady came to the counter. And she said, what y'all want? Now, to me, that's disrespectful. That's just plain disrespectful. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I know Mama probably felt that way, but they knew they couldn't say anything. They couldn't say anything because they were going to get beaten because of how they said it and what they said and who they were speaking to. So the white lady opened up the back door where all of her colleagues were. Hey, y'all, it's some folks out here. It's some niggas out here say they want to register to vote. Chills just went up. I got chills. Just for the word niggas. Now, our kids these days, it ain't nothing, even grown-ups. Nigga, what you talking about? And nigga, go ahead on. So you one of those. You're not an N-I-G-G-E-R. You're an N-I-G-G-A whatever. Is that what you want to be the rest of your life? I don't see myself being that. I don't see myself being that. That's inappropriate and unacceptable. But they gave them a test where they had to read the Constitution and they had to tell what it was about, give the meaning of certain parts of it. And I mean, you got people here standing at the counter who can't even read, let alone be able to break down the Constitution. Okay, that ain't gonna happen. So all of them went back, got on the bus, got ready to leave. They had all kinds of deputy cars, all kinds of police cars. They had the dogs trying to hold them back. They got on the bus, and before they could make it to the stop sign, the deputy put the lights on them. Hey, y'all got $100? And it was Pastor Jeff Cerny, who was driving the bus. He said, "No, sir. What we need $100 for?" And he said, "Y'all driving a bus too yellow." They were driving a school bus. How yellow can you get? So after they told him they couldn't come up with $100, he said, "Well, I'll see what we can do. We may be able to come up with 30. I'm not sure." So the deputy told him, you come back and you make sure you got $30. He said, "Yes, sir, I'm going to do my best." So one said, "I got a quarter over here." One said, "Well, I got about 3 pennies." One lady said, "I got $5. They looked at, "Where you get $5 from?" So they came up with the $30 and they headed back home. But by the time Mama got home off that bus, she had to catch a ride from town and catch a ride back out to Mr. Marlowe's place, W.D. Marlowe Plantation. And Mr. Marlowe wasn't happy because somebody had giving him the word that Fannie Lou Hamer had gone down to the plantation and she was causing mess. And they ain't ready for that. So Mama walked up, and my mother Dorothy walked up to her mama. Mr. Marlowe mad. He real mad. And he said, you causing trouble out here. He over there talking to Dad. By the time Mama Dorothy got done telling her that, Mr. Marlowe walked up to Mama. Fan Lou? She said, yes, sir. They tell me you iron there in your nose trying to vote. And she said, yes, sir. I went to try to vote for me. I didn't try to go vote for you. Now, she wasn't trying to be funny with him, but she was just trying to tell him what she was there to do. That was just an honest statement. And he said, I give you a choice. You either go down there tomorrow and take your name off that registry, or you're going to have to find you somewhere else to go. You can't live here like that. So Mama, Papa, and Mama Dorothy all went home, and they had a discussion. And that night, Mama packed up everything, and they talked about just getting everything straight in the house and keeping it together, and told Mama Dorothy to make sure she fed them, for their lunches and for their dinners and breakfast or whatever they needed. And Mama Dorothy told she would. And they took Mama to town to her friend, Miss Tucker's house. And Papa felt something was going to go on. So he went back and he picked Mama up and he took her somewhere else. And it's a good thing he did, because they shot into Miss Tucker's house 16 times that night. And it's rough just thinking about how people can be that hateful to not want you to be a good citizen. So Mama Fannie went to a meeting, and they were having a mass meeting at the church, and Miss Tucker had told Mama about it. And she went to that meeting, and it was an eye-awakener for her. And she's like, them folks, they know what they talking about. They talking about all the rights that we got, and we don't even know it. Everybody else know it. How come we don't know it? So Mama wasn't happy about that. But Snick was there. And they heard her singing. They heard her speak out about some things. And about a week later, they sent for her. And they came to the house where she was at. And she was just thinking and had her chair turned sideways. She probably heard the footsteps come in, but she wasn't worried about anything. If you want to know anything about Fannie Lou Hamer, she loved God. She was a Christian, and she, growing up, she only knew the Bible because her daddy was a preacher, Mama was a choir director, and all the kids sang in the choir. And I'll say that anything that she would speak about, it was going to have a scripture in it, or it was going to be pertaining to the Bible verses, some people from the Bible. It was always going to reflect something. So, getting back to the Bible, Mama was well versed. She was knowledgeable about a lot of things, and it took her going to a meeting where they had a gentleman to just stand up after she spoke, and he was like, how dare you guys bring a woman up in here, a black woman at that? to come up in here and speak to us. I got a PhD. I could have done that speaking. So Mama stood up, put that hand on that hip. That's what she known for, putting that hand on that hip. And when she got that hand on that hip, I promise you, it wasn't going to be nothing nice. So she read back that hand on that hip, and she said, you may have a P, you may have an H, you may have a D. I don't care what you got. But as far as I know, your PhD could stand for post-hole digger. That was Mama Fannie. Now, she started traveling a lot. At one point, they were traveling from university to university. And actually, she was here in 1969. And she spoke to a small crowd of African Americans. And she enjoyed it. And she told them, you know, her message is always going to be to somebody who's trying to get an education. Education is key. Whatever you feel you're not getting from your hometown, you just have to make sure that you pay it forward. Everybody doesn't have what it takes to give back, but in some kind of way, pay it forward. So Mama Fannie's way of paying it forward, knowing that people didn't have food to eat, clothes to wear, they used to wrap rags around their feet because they didn't have shoes. So just imagine her going state to state. She used to go everywhere and speak. And by her speaking, she would be in contact with Mr. Harry Belafonte, who was a singer and actor. I know you guys know who. I'm trying to come up with all the names. But she was friends with Muhammad Ali. She was friends with, okay, I'm going to stop there because then I'll start getting out doing other things that I'm planning on doing. Okay, she would raise money. And the first thing they did was get 640 acres of land. With that 640 acres of land, they planted greens, beans, cucumbers, tomatoes, and then they turned around and had a piglet farm. When I say a piglet farm, they had 2 pigs. When they got old enough to mate, then old enough to replenish what was given out, all they had to do was pay it forward. The next families who were in line to get pigs, they would give them a male and a female. And it went on and on, on and on. And I was a little girl, but I can remember the 18-wheelers pulling up to our house. Mama had a dream house. It started out as a dream shack that she purchased. And she talked to her friends, and they had that dream shack turned into a 3-bedroom, large living room, huge kitchen. Dining room was really large. Papa used to have a juke joint. And with that juke joint, it was a real heavy wood table that they used to sit around or play pool on or whatever they were doing. It probably wasn't pool because I don't know if pool was back then. But he had that hardwood table that they had in our dining room. And with that den and with that dining room, we used to watch the people who met with Mama. In our den, I mean, we would have just lots of people just gathered around, just listening to Mama and all the things that she had gone through with the beating, with the stopping of the buses, with um, going through, going to the courthouse to try to register to vote. And I mean, it's not it's not easy these days to even do some of those things. I mean, just now, I bet you can think of some things that have happened where something was said to you and it shouldn't have been. And maybe it was because of the color of your skin. Maybe not. But Mama was vivid with letting people know that it was just wrong and not the right timing for people to be treated the way that they were being treated. You know, slavery days were over. And my thing is, I was so nosy, I would sit under the table and sit as far back as I could so that they wouldn't kick me up, you know, so my mama wouldn't know I was in there. But it wasn't easy being raised with a mama who wasn't at home all the time. But it was easier just listening to what she was saying. And just when she started speaking or when she started singing, and everybody would get just quiet because it was like her voice commanded attention. And I don't know if you all know how it feels to just hear someone who only has a 6th grade education, but able to speak at the convention where President Lyndon B. Johnson tried to have it turned off like twice. But somebody kept recording, and it was shown nationwide. And from that, it was just amazing how she ended up going to Africa. And she was able to go there, and when she came back, she brought some friends back. She met them while there, and they wanted to see this Mississippi Delta that she was talking about. So when she came back to America, the United States of America, and she found out all the things, you know, that were going on in Africa, it was like, oh my God, you mean that man is the boss over this bank? You mean this man owns this grocery store right here? Oh my goodness. How y'all get all these black folks up in here doing this and doing that? We don't have that in Mississippi. We don't have that. Now, it's not easy seeing those things happen. But wouldn't it fuel you if you got back home? You want to just run and just say, I want to do that. I want to go to these places and I want to learn how to do that. So she started at home. And it was started with Freedom Farm, Pig Farm. Then she got with National Council of Negro Women. And they started the Head Start. And I was one of the first children who went to Head Start. And I was 4 years old at the time. My sister went to Head Start, and I learned how to sing when I was in Head Start. And I used to always just try to sing and just sing loud so everybody could hear me. I wanted to sing like Mama sang. I did. And it was a wonderful thing just seeing her. I know she was tired, and then she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she would just be beaten, tired, and I mean just still on the go. She had a friend by the name of Rose Fishman, Mrs. Rose Fishman, and she was out of New Jersey. And she was a really good friend of Mama's. And she wrote letters Mama wrote letters to her. And it was a beautiful thing that Miss Rose really allowed Mama to just get everything off her chest. And whatever Mama needed, Miss Rose made sure that she and her husband got it for her. They would meet with their friends. They would see what needed to be done, how much money it was going to take. And believe me, Mama Fannie got the checks coming in. She got the boxes coming in. And I get back to the 18-wheelers pulling up. 18-wheelers pulled up, backed up into our driveway. It was a 4-car garage. I never saw any cars in that garage. Never saw them. We had jellies, jams, tomatoes in the freezers. We had my uncle had cows. My daddy did the hogs. So we always had meat. So just to make that a little quicker, one time, I mean, we got a truckload of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And they were the ones that that you freeze and let it unthaw and you eat it. Man, I ate so many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I was like, I don't want no more. Don't bring me no more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I don't want it. And then it got to the point where Mama had all these peas and beans and greens, and she would sit outside on the porch, and anybody who stopped by, because she knew people were going to stop by and want to talk to her. Anybody who stopped by, baby, grab you a bowl over there, and you can pick, while we talking, we can share these beans and pick these greens, and, you know. And it was funny because her manager, he was the one who came and picked her up for Snick. And it was so funny that he said he had never shelled a pea in his life. And he said he sat down beside Mama on the porch, and they were fixing to discuss the schedule. And she said, "Oh no, Mac, you got to get you a bowl. And if you don't know how to shell them, I'll show you. I'll teach you how to shell them. That's not a problem." So Mr. Mac said he learned how to shell peas from that day. And every time he came by, whatever she was doing, he was doing it too. And I mean, my dad had a garden too. He always kept a garden separate from Freedom Farm. He kept it separate for our family. But it didn't matter. They still always gave whoever needed. And they find me sitting under the tomato plants and had me a salt and pepper shaker, and I ate tomatoes until I get sick from it. I'd be in under the trees, because we had peaches, plums, apples, pines. And I sat under those trees and I ate peaches and I ate plums. And I always had a salt shaker under that one. And Papa, he get your little ass from under that tree. My dad, he wasn't ashamed by cussing. Every other word was a curse word. So you like it or you don't. You like it or you don't. You know the Hamers, don't you, Sheree? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's my cousin, Sheree. She said she got that bad, too. Mm-hmm. I had to pray on mine. But let me get back to where Mama and Papa they loved each other. And I mean, no matter who said what, Papa was going to be Mama's back. She was his baby. And no matter who said what, they were going to have to hold up to what they said, because he was 6'5", almost 300 pounds, and drinking that White Lightning and that 100 proof Granddad. You won't get away with saying nothing to baby. That wasn't gonna happen. But are there any questions? Because I can go on and on about our relationship in our home, because that's what Mama loved family. She loved family. She had a sister down the street from us. Her name was Laura. And Aunt Laura used to make her pies and her cakes and her tea cakes, and that was a daily basis because people were coming by there every day. And when Mama was in town, she was either canning stuff or either she was cooking some big dinner because she loved to cook dinner. And I used to tell people, I still do, about the big old meatballs Mama used to make. And I mean, I couldn't eat a whole meatball and spaghetti. I couldn't do that. But I love to just eat everything she cooked. And it was a blessing for me because when Virgie grew up, Mama wouldn't allow her in the kitchen because the kitchen was too small, but Virgie thought it was just a thing that she didn't want her in her kitchen. But Virgie said she went somewhere and poked a hole in the wall. And she started watching Mama, watching everything she did in that kitchen. And Virgie said Mama came home one day from the field. She made it a little earlier than Papa because she wanted to start cooking dinner. And Virgie said they called her Baby. Papa named her Baby. So Mama walked in the house and Virgie knew what Mama was going to do. She was like, "Don't worry about it, Mama. I got it. I already cooked dinner." And she said, "No, you ain't." And Virgie said, "Yes, I did, Mama. I cooked dinner." And Virgie wasn't that old either. So Virgie had cooked some chicken and some gravy and some rice and some cornbread. And Mama said, "Wait a minute, let me taste before your dad get in the house." And she tasted it. And she said, "Good, that's good. You did good." And Papa and my mama Dorothy made it in the house. And it was like, he was like, "What's that smelling good? Who done cooked up in here?" And she said, "Your baby done cooked." And he said, "What baby?" And she said, "Baby." He said, "Baby ain't cooked up in here. She ain't never cooked." And he said, "Did you taste it?" He said, "Oh, hell, here we got to wait on some food." And Mama said, "Baby, she cooked the food. It's good. I already tasted it." And from then on, she had to cook every day. She had to cook every day. But that was a good thing because she loved to cook. She loved to cook. And I got some of her recipes before she died. But I just want to tell you guys about the reason why my mother died at the age of 22. She had a cyst, and they were supposed to have removed the cyst. But when Mama took her up there to Ruba Hospital, they said they weren't going to treat her because of who Fannie Lou was and what she was doing. And Mama said, "What they got to do with me? This is my baby." So they rushed her to Memphis, and she died 2 days later. I don't like telling that, but it's a hard thing to leave two babies, you know, 11 months old, 8 months old. It's hard. When Mama Fannie was diagnosed with breast cancer, she was already stage 4 really bad. And it started going over her body, going through her body. And she never wanted us to see how bad it was for her. So when it got so bad that they had to move her around from hospital to hospital, they ended up taking her to Mount Bayou. And when she was in Mount Bayou, her mind getting really bad. And she didn't want to see us. She didn't want us to see her like that, how much pain she was in and how she was looking from losing all the weight and everything. So the last day that me and my sister walked in the room, we got halfway in the room and she opened her eyes and she started screaming, "Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I don't want them to see me. Get him out of here." And she died She died 3 days later. I'm not trying to be dramatic. But this is what I went through. And she died when I was 9 years old. And being at her funeral, it was hard because there were so many people getting up to speak and say what they knew about her and how they knew her and where they knew her from. And all I could think about, you didn't know her. If you never walked up in our house or sat on that porch and shelled some peas or picked some greens with her, you don't know her. Unless you were at some of those mass meetings with me, you don't know her. I'm going to try to get done with this. We went to a conference in Atlanta, and Mama Fannie was in there speaking. She hadn't spoken yet. She was getting ready to speak, and Miss Coretta Scott King got up and announced her, and Mama got up and she sang the same song I just sang, and everybody was clapping. And after she spoke and was telling everybody what was going on in the Delta, and I mean, it was hard to accept that. I was 7 years old then, and it was hard to just hear her say all those things because all this time, Mama, you never let us hear you say what they did to you. They held out. Papa and Mama held out on us. They didn't want us to ever go through what they went through. They didn't want that. They didn't want us to hear it, feel it, not even see it. They didn't want that for us. So I say, it's just God who brought her and my daddy Pat through what they went through. It was God that let my mama live two days longer, even though she had to be rushed to Memphis. She may have been able to live a lot longer if Ruleville had done what they should have done, but they refused that. But it's okay. I went through cancer, and I'm in remission now, right now. And I'm just glad that I've known Fannie Lou Hamer. I've loved her. And I mean, just hearing her say, Cookie, come here, baby. Mama cold. I just need you to lay in here with me. It wasn't the coldness that she wanted. She wanted me in the bed with her to just bond with her. She wasn't ready to go. She had lots more to do. Lots more people to help. Lots more people to hear her story, hear her testimony. And that's why I've started the Mama Fannie Freedom Farm Co-op and Pig Blanket. Pig, say it for me, y'all. Pig Bank. Okay, thank you. The Pig Bank. And I'm getting ready to start the Mama Fannie Scholarship. And I hope I'll be able to help people who really need help. And I'm sorry for boo-hooing on you guys. But thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Good afternoon. Hamer, Miss Cookie Flakes. What a great day to begin our celebration of Black History Month. I'm Yulanda Haddix. I represent the Oktibbeha County branch of the NAACP, which is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Our sole mission is to eliminate race-based discrimination. For our mission to be accomplished, that means that we have to genuinely believe that all men, all races, and all people are created equally. We have to personally put forth an effort to accept, believe, and treat all people the way we desire to be treated. We have to judge people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. We have to be the one that actively and deliberately put forth effort to assist with the advancement of colored people. We have to do the right thing and openly acknowledge the wrongs of our forefathers, grandparents, mothers, family members, co-workers, and friends. We have to not allow Kwanzaa, MLK Day, February, Black History Month, etc., to be the only time that we acknowledge the accomplishments, achievements, and the mere existence of Black people. In a perfect world, community, Oktibbeha County, MSU campus, the wealth gap, communities of wealth gap, job opportunities, basic resources for survival will all look the same. I may say that again. We're to make sure that in a perfect world, community, Oktibbeha County, MSU campus, that the wealth gap, job opportunities, basic resources for surviving, they should all look the same. In order to truly assist with the advancement of African Americans, I'll say Black people, we must change our hearts, our skewed belief of what leadership looks like, and change our generational belief and value system of super and less than exists. So we have to say that, we all are equal. There's no level, that we all are the same in order to change. For most of us, it is a constant daily struggle, not because we can't do the right thing. We openly and proudly make the choice to continue the wrongs and injustice of our forefathers. I'm asking all of us here today, and hopefully we can click and share, that February 2023, we will look deep into our hearts, consciously change our thought process, and actively work to eliminate all race-based discrimination. Judge everyone based on the content of their character, 365 days a year. What a perfect world we would be if we can just actually think about that. I want to thank Cookie for giving us some more history and knowledge of Miss Fannie Lou Hamer. I want to thank you for taking out the time of your busy schedule to celebrate with us our history, struggles, and achievement of our great leaders, and to commit to help us change this America to a place where all men are created and treated equally. In the words of our late Fannie Lou Hamer, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. Change has to start with us. I'm going to leave you with welcome February. It's a new beginning, new month, new start, new focus, new blessings. Looking forward to more lessons, more laughter, and more love. Let's change this America. Thank you.
We have refreshments. Please stay and visit with each other. Thank you so much.